Greetings, cosmic voyagers of knowledge. I'm Shakir and welcome. Today we embark on a journey not to distant galaxies, but into the often unlit corridors of our own history to uncover the brilliant minds of women inventors who fundamentally shaped our world. When we think of Inventor, names like Edison or Tesla might flash across our mental screens like supernovae in the scientific firmament. But what about the constellations of genius that have been, for too long, obscured by the glare of more celebrated stars? These are the trailblazers, the intellectual architects whose groundbreaking work often went uncredited or was actively suppressed. We're talking about women who, despite facing a universe of systemic barriers, entrenched gender bias that question their very capacity for ingenuity, a lack of access to education and resources, and institutions that were often more interested in maintaining the status quo than fostering true innovation, still managed to conceive of and create technologies that we rely on every single day. Think about it, the very fabric of modern life, woven with threads of their brilliance. It's a story of resilience, of intellectual defiance against a backdrop of societal friction. Their stories aren't just footnotes, they are essential chapters in the grand narrative of human progress. To overlook them is to have an incomplete, a distorted view of how we arrived at this technological moment. So let's adjust our telescopes, focus our lenses, and prepare to witness the radiant contributions of these unsung heroines. The universe of innovation is far richer and more diverse than many common narratives would have us believe. Let's explore. Our first luminary is none other than Hedy Lamarr. Now, many remember her as a dazzling star of Hollywood's golden age, an icon of beauty and glamour. And yes, her cinematic presence was undeniable. But beneath that silver screen persona resided a mind crackling with scientific curiosity, a mind that would contribute to a technology so fundamental it's likely enabling you to watch this very video. During the crucible of World War II, Lamarr, alongside composer George Antheil, wasn't just concerned with movie scripts. She was thinking about how to give the Allies a critical edge. They conceived of something truly ingenious, a secret communication system using frequency hopping. Imagine trying to intercept a radio signal that's constantly, rapidly changing its frequency, like a nimble dancer eluding a pursuer across a crowded floor. That was the core idea, to guide torpedoes without the enemy jamming the signal. It was a concept born out of a desire to protect and a deep understanding of signal integrity. The initial patent, granted in 1942, was based on the mechanics of player pianos, synchronizing changes across 88 frequencies, the number of keys on a piano. How wonderfully eclectic is that? This wasn't just some whimsical notion, it was a sophisticated solution to a complex problem. While the US Navy didn't immediately implement her invention during the war, a classic case of perhaps not taking an actress inventor seriously enough, or the technology being too advanced for immediate application, the seed was planted. Decades later, the principles of her frequency-hopping spread-spectrum technology would blossom, becoming a cornerstone for secure military communications, and get this, the foundational technology behind Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, and GPS. Every time your phone seamlessly connects to a network, there's a little bit of Hedy Lamarr's inventive spirit at play. Next, let's journey back to the 19th century and meet Margaret Knight, a figure who truly embodied the spirit of relentless innovation from a young age. They called her Mattie, and from her childhood she wasn't playing with dolls so much as she was tinkering with tools, inventing kites and sleds for her brothers. This wasn't just a hobby, it was a fundamental way she interacted with the world, by observing problems and engineering solutions. Her most famous invention, and the one that truly revolutionized an everyday object, addressed a simple yet ubiquitous need: a better paper bag. Before Knight, paper bags were more like flimsy envelopes, not the sturdy, flat-bottomed carriers we know today. Imagine the frustration of trying to pack groceries into something that couldn't stand on its own. Knight, working in a paper bag factory, witnessed this inefficiency firsthand. So she envisioned a machine that could automatically fold and glue paper to create these flat-bottomed bags, a leap in both convenience and manufacturing efficiency. She spent years developing a wooden prototype and then an iron one, a testament to her perseverance and mechanical acumen. This was serious engineering, but her journey wasn't without its cosmic collisions. When she sought to patent her invention, a man named Charles Annan, who had seen her prototype, audaciously tried to steal it, arguing that a woman couldn't possibly understand such complex machinery. Knight, however, was not one to be easily dismissed. She took him to court armed with meticulous drawings, journals, and witness testimonies. She successfully defended her intellectual property, proving her inventorship and securing her patent in 1871. Margaret Knight didn't just invent a machine, she fought for her right to be recognized as its creator, paving the way for countless others. Chapter 3. Now let's turn our attention to Mary Beatrice Kenner, an inventor whose ingenuity addressed deeply personal yet universally relevant aspects of human life, and whose path was tragically obstructed by the pervasive racism of her time. Kenner came from a family of inventors. Her grandfather invented a tricolor light signal for trains, and her father patented a clothes presser. Innovation, it seems, was in her very DNA. From a young age, she was sketching ideas for inventions, including a self-oiling door hinge she thought of at age 6. Her most significant contributions, however, were in the realm of personal care and hygiene. She invented an adjustable sanitary belt with a moisture-proof napkin pocket. Think about the profound impact of such an invention on women's comfort, hygiene, and daily lives, especially at a time when such products were rudimentary or inaccessible. Kenner's design was practical, thoughtful, and aimed at improving the quality of life. She also invented a carrier attachment for invalid walkers, a toilet paper holder, and a backwasher that could be mounted on a shower wall. All testaments to her empathetic and problem-solving mind. Despite the clear utility and brilliance of her inventions, particularly the sanitary belt, Kenner faced immense hurdles in bringing them to market. When a company expressed interest in her sanitary belt in the 1950s, they discovered she was African American and shockingly withdrew their interest. The patent for her sanitary belt eventually lapsed because she couldn't afford the renewal fees. It's a heartbreaking example of how systemic prejudice can stifle innovation and deny recognition where it's profoundly due. Her story underscores the immense talent that society risked losing, and often did lose, due to racial discrimination. Chapter 4. Let's rewind the cosmic clock to the early 19th century to meet Augusta Ada King, Countess of Lovelace, more famously known as Ada Lovelace. Daughter of the poet Lord Byron, Ada was steered towards mathematics and science by her mother, perhaps to counteract any perceived Byronic wildness, and what a fortunate trajectory that was for the future of computation. Ada possessed what she called a poetical science, a unique ability to blend imagination with rigorous analytical thought, a combination that allowed her to see beyond the immediate horizon of technology. She worked closely with Charles Babbage, the inventor of the analytical engine, a proposed mechanical general-purpose computer. While Babbage focused on the hardware, the gears and levers, Lovelace grasped its potential far beyond mere calculation. She translated an article about the analytical engine by Italian engineer Luigi Menabrea, but here's where her genius truly ignited. She appended her own extensive notes, which were 3 times longer than the original article. These notes contained what many consider to be the first computer program, an algorithm designed to be carried out by Babbage's machine to compute Bernoulli numbers. But Ada's vision transcended simple number crunching. She foresaw a future where such machines could compose complex music, produce graphics, and be used for scientific and practical purposes. Essentially, she conceptualized the modern multi-purpose computer a century before it came into existence. She speculated that the engine might act upon other things besides number. An engine might compose elaborate and scientific pieces of music of any degree of complexity or extent. This conceptual leap from calculator to creative tool was monumental. Ada Lovelace wasn't just a programmer, she was a prophet of the digital age. Chapter 5. Our final inventor for today is Elizabeth Magie, a name you might not recognize, but whose creation has likely graced your coffee table or family game night countless times. We're talking about the conceptual ancestor of one of the most famous board games in the world, Monopoly. In the early 20th century, Maggie, a stenographer, writer and comedian, was also a passionate advocate for the economic theories of Henry George, particularly the idea of a single land tax to curb monopolistic practices and promote fairer wealth distribution. To illustrate these principles in an accessible and engaging way, she designed and patented the landlord's game in 1904. Her game came with two sets of rules, an anti-monopolist set where wealth was shared and everyone benefited when property was developed, and a monopolist set where the goal was to accumulate wealth and crush opponents. Her intent was clear: to demonstrate the social and economic consequences of land monopolism and the benefits of a more equitable system. It was a didactic tool, a piece of interactive social commentary disguised as entertainment. Over the following decades, her game spread through word of mouth, evolving through various folk versions. Then in the 1930s, a man named Charles Darrow, who learned a version of the game, adapted it, sold it to Parker Brothers as Monopoly, and was subsequently credited for decades as its sole inventor, becoming a millionaire in the process. Maggie, who had sold her patent to Parker Brothers for a mere $500 and little recognition, saw her original progressive message largely overshadowed by the game's celebration of cutthroat capitalism. Her story is a stark reminder of how original ideas can be co-opted and their creators, especially women, written out of their own groundbreaking narratives. As we've journeyed through these extraordinary lives, from Hedy Lamarr's Invisible Waves to Elizabeth Maggie's Game of Property, it becomes undeniably clear: the landscape of invention is far more diverse and populated than the popular narrative suggests. Recognizing and celebrating the monumental achievements of these women inventors, and so many others yet to be widely known, isn't just about correcting the historical record. It's about inspiring a new generation to see themselves as capable of shaping the future regardless of gender, race or background. It's about understanding that genius knows no single demographic. This recognition must extend into the very fabric of our educational institutions. Imagine young minds in classrooms learning not just about Edison and Bell, but also about Knight, Kenner and Lovelace. These stories need to be woven into curricula, presented not as exceptions, but as integral parts of our shared scientific and technological heritage. When we show the full spectrum of innovators, we broaden the horizons of aspiration for everyone. We need to actively dismantle the old limiting narratives and build new ones that reflect the true, diverse tapestry of human ingenuity. Ultimately, this calls for a systemic shift. We must advocate for policies that actively promote gender equality in STEM fields, ensuring that the brilliant minds of today and tomorrow have the support, resources, and opportunities to flourish unhindered by the biases of the past. Let's foster a broader, more inclusive conversation about the immense value of diversity in innovation, because when we embrace a multitude of perspectives, when we empower every curious mind, we unlock a universe of potential solutions to the challenges that face us all. The next great breakthrough could come from anywhere, from anyone. Let's make sure we're listening. Keep looking up and keep looking deeper.